This is the right trying to co-opt scientific language as a means by which, through anti-intellectualism, to essentially assert the level of expertise that they just simply don't have. If you believe that, like, people are being hypnotized, like, this doesn't even meet Occam's razor. It makes way more sense that people are going to believe Trump's a strongman because of the mythos he's created around him, rather than being hypnotized into following him. And the idea that people are hypnotized into going along with vaccine procedures or going along with lockdowns, no, it's because X number of motherfucking people have died. Hey everyone. So before we start, just want to let you know that I'll probably be doing a majority of the talking. That's different in this case because Zena's migrating, so please feel free to jump in at any point, but if they start staring off into space, it's because the migraine has taken them. Yep. So, we got something to talk about because it's really dumb. I need you guys to see this because it's very important to me that you see it. Fact focus. Unfounded theory used to dismiss COVID measures. We're gonna do this. Would you like to listen in?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Thank you.
Time for robot voice.
An unfounded theory taking root online suggests millions of people have been hypnotized into believing mainstream ideas about COVID-19, including steps to combat it such as testing and vaccination. In widely shared social media posts this week, efforts to combat the disease have been dismissed with just 3 words: mass formation psychosis.
So before we get into this, I don't know why it always chooses the weird voice first, because then it'll go back to my regular voice, which is softer and not as irritating. My apologies to people's ears. What? This is not a thing. Mass formation psychosis. So, yeah, that's not a thing. So let's talk about this.
The article just gets better. Oh no.
I'm not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure healthy people spending hours in line to get a virus test is mass formation psychosis in action, reads one tweet that was liked more than 22,000 times. The term gained attention after it was floated by Dr. Robert Malone on the Joe Rogan Experience December 31st podcast. Malone is a scientist who once researched mRNA technology but is now a vocal skeptic of the COVID-19 vaccines that use it.
So this guy helped bring about the technology that gave us the Pfizer, the Moderna vaccines, and apparently is now a vocal skeptic about the COVID-19 vaccines and has made up his own psychological thing. Let's continue. We'll have thoughts.
But psychology experts say the concept described by Malone is not supported by evidence.
True.
And is similar to theories that have long been discredited. Here's a look at the facts. Claim: the concept of mass formation psychosis explains why millions of people believe in a mainstream COVID-19 narrative and trust the safety and efficacy of the vaccines.
Okay.
The facts. Malone highlighted the unfounded theory on a podcast hosted by comedian and commentator Joe Rogan. During the episode, Malone cast doubt on COVID-19 vaccine safety and claimed the mass psychosis has resulted in 1/3 of the population basically being hypnotized into believing what Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, and mainstream news outlets say.
Oh no, they've been hypnotized. Mesmerized. What?
Oh no, no.
Oh no, we're getting into Nazi Germany.
No,
oh no.
No, it's gonna get worse.
Worse or better?
I mean, better in the worst way? Like, better in the worst way, yeah.
Malone went on to say that the phenomenon explained Nazi Germany. When you have a society that has become decoupled from each other and has free-floating anxiety in a sense that things don't make sense, we can't understand it, and then their attention gets focused by a leader or a series of events on one small point, just like hypnosis, they literally become hypnotized and can be led anywhere, Malone said. He claimed such people will not allow the narrative to be questioned.
This is so bad.
Okay, so real quick, just before we get into it, the reason why we're not allowing it to be questioned is not because we're following some grand later. Libs make fun of fucking Biden as much as anyone. It's because, and I'm going with this, Anthony Fauci has been incredibly critiqued too. The reason why this is because we have an army of scientists who have developed and who back these vaccines. This is the plurality of data showing that these vaccines are efficacious and are useful in preventing the spread. Are they perfect? No, because no vaccine is. But what the fuck?
Like Netspace said, it was either going to be Nazis or 1984.
I mean, true.
Just to be clear, like, we have much better data and explanations for how stuff arose in Nazi Germany, okay? And how that happened. Like,
I mean, hell, fucking cognitive dissonance theory around some of that stuff's makes way more sense.
Yeah, this is not how hypnotism works. Like, let's just be like.
Also,
like,
it's like would Fauci just sitting there in front of the camera, just like do. You will donate. You will get a tier 4 subscription. Like, man, why would he do that about the vaccine when he could just be like, send me your credit card? Like, what the fuck? I just bad at it, I guess.
Oh no.
Crediting a professor in Belgium, Malone also said in a December blog post that this mass hypnosis explains millions of people becoming captivated by the dominant narrative concerning the safety and effectiveness of the genetic vaccines. Psychology experts say there is no support for the psychosis theory described by Malone.
Because it's nonsense.
To my knowledge, there's no evidence whatsoever for this concept, said Jay Van Bavel, an assistant professor of psychology and neural science at New York University who recently co-authored a book on group identities. Van Bavel said he had never encountered the phrase mass formation psychosis in his years of research, nor could he find it in any peer-reviewed literature.
Because they made it up.
Yup.
This sounds like Nazis trying to explain Nazis. The fuck?
The concept has no academic credibility.
True.
Stephen Riker, a social psychology professor at the University of St Andrews in the UK, wrote in an email to the Associated Press. The term also does not appear in the American Psychological Association's Dictionary of Psychology.
Nor in the DSM.
Psychosis is a term that refers to conditions that involve some disconnect from reality. According to a National Institutes of Health estimate, about 3% of people experience some form of psychosis at some time in their lives.
So, like, to understand this, guys, like, think about that. They are saying mass psychoses. This is kind of like the mass, the idea of like a mass panic. Like, yes, there could be situations that could look like this, but the idea that the whole of the country, of the people who believe and understand the pandemic exists, are somehow just making shit up when in reality, and I really have to stress this, are just psychotic, is so bizarre, so utterly nonsensical, that, like, anti-vaxxers and conservatives have to make up a fake diagnosis. Wait, they already did that. TERFs already did that. It's called rapid onset gender dysphoria.
They keep making them up.
These motherfuckers will just keep making up shit. All right, let's keep going. I want to get through this whole thing. Oh, God, it's going to get worse.
Oh, no.
Richard McNally, a professor of clinical psychology at Harvard University, wrote in an email that people who support COVID-19 vaccines and public health guidance are not delusional. Rather, they are fully responsive to the arguments and evidence adduced by the relevant scientific experts. Health officials have found the COVID-19 vaccines to be safe and effective, especially in terms of protecting against serious illness. The description of mass formation psychosis offered by Malone resembles discredited concepts, such as mob mentality and group mind, according to John Drury, a social psychologist at the University of Sussex in the UK who studies collective behaviour. The ideas suggest that when people form part of a psychological crowd, they lose their identities and their self-control, they become suggestible, and primitive instinctive impulses predominate, he said in an email.
That is not how this works at all. While group stuff is really interesting, the idea that you completely lose your sense of identity is insane. In fact, people usually do acts, incredibly horrific acts based on their sense of identity. One of the theories that was presented about cognitive dissonance, for example, when talking about Nazi Germany, is that some of the most vicious and aggressive Nazis were people who actually didn't like Hitler. They were individuals who their internal values were that they didn't like Hitler or his work, but in order to exist in that society, you had to do the whole Heil thing, right? The whole Roman salute bullshit, or at least the little weird version of it. And I mean, the whole thing's weird. And the problem is, if every day you're saying a Heil about this guy you don't like, essentially your behavior doesn't line up with your cognition. And so the idea is that over time, that cognitive dissonance can lead to some sort of resolution to get rid of that anxiety. And in many cases, people will default to their behavior over their values. Because the behavior is an objective phenomenon that can't be argued with. So it's, if you're doing this every time, well, maybe I like this, maybe I'm part of this, maybe, and so on and so on and so forth. Now, is that going to explain everything? No, but it does make interesting arguments about this whole thing. Yeah, this feels exactly like projection psychosocialism. Holy shit.
Rory, by the way, is explaining why this is wrong and messed up. He goes on to...
Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah, so...
That notion has been discredited by decades of research on crowd behavior, Drury said. No respectable psychologist agrees with these ideas now, he said. Multiple experts told the AP that while there is evidence that groups can shape or influence one's behaviors and that people can and do believe falsehoods that are put forward by the leader of a group, those concepts do not involve the masses experiencing psychosis or hypnosis.
No, it's them people being won over by charisma.
A psychology professor at Binghamton University in New York, said Malone's argument that a group can literally become hypnotized and can be led anywhere is premised on a myth about hypnosis. His claim represents a serious misunderstanding of hypnosis and doubles down on the popular misconception that hypnosis somehow transforms people into mindless robots who think what the hypnotist wants them to think and do the hypnotist's bidding, Lynn said in an email. The scientifically established fact is that people can easily resist and even oppose suggestions.
It's true. For hypnosis to work, my understanding, and I'm not an expert on this particular part, but my understanding is that if you are a person who is being hypnotized, you have to go along with the hypnotism. Now, here's a really interesting thing. This is why I don't have an issue anymore with hypnotism being used in kink. For a long time, before I got my degree, labored under that misunderstanding that hypnotism took away someone's free will. It doesn't. And so if people use hypnotism, it's just another form of play. It's another form of kink. It's not in any way, shape, or form some removal of it. And again, if things are negotiated ahead of time and there's clear consent stuff.
It is definitely part of kink where you should, vet your partners carefully. Make sure you understand what you're getting into. Don't get me wrong. Definitely got to do your checks here, but...
Yeah, for hypnotism to work, you literally have to want to be hypnotized. You have to literally, that is what my understanding is. This is the last part, and then we'll talk about it.
Before the concept of mass formation psychosis took off in recent days, it had percolated online in recent months. Misuse Desmet, the professor in Belgium who Malone cited for formulating the idea, did not return requests for comment.
Of course not.
Malone also did not return a request for comment.
Little bitch. Goddamn. Can't even respond to the AP. Gotta go on Joe Rogan. Can we be clear that Joe Rogan is just an awful human being? He's bad at commentating MMA, and he's just a bad person. I feel like his entire gig is just compensating for being short. Also, Ethan Klein dunked on him, and it was amazing. Though I'm not making fun of our short kings out there. I know some trans boys that are but badass. So just not hating on short people, hating on Joe Rogan. So, what the fuck do we mean by this? The fact of the matter is that, like, this doesn't exist. The idea that you can somehow hypnotize the masses is something that's born out of fantasy and superhero myth. This is not a thing that you can do. The reason why people followed Trump was not because he hypnotized them. I don't want to give him that kind of, like, clout.
Power.
Yeah. The reason he was able to do it is because those people were looking for something like a strongman. They were looking for something to give them the ability to feel, in charge. And Trump says just the right lies to make them feel strong again and feel meaningful and feel engaged. And so guess what? They also he makes them feel part of something. I really think it is important that... Oh, Base Jedi, thank you so much for the $4.99. I think it's incredibly important for us to realize that this is no different than TERFs trying to create rapid onset gender dysphoria, or their lies about detransitioners being this rampant thing when they're not. They're literally a percentage of a percentage. This is the right trying to co-opt scientific language as a means by which, through anti-intellectualism, to essentially assert the level of expertise that they just simply don't have. If you believe that, like, people are being hypnotized, like, this doesn't even meet Occam's razor. It makes way more sense that people are going to believe Trump's a strongman because of the mythos he's created around him, rather than being hypnotized into following him. And the idea that people are hypnotized into going along with vaccine procedures or going along with lockdowns, no, it's because X number of motherfucking people have died. Let me bring up my current numbers. Zena, do you have thoughts on this?
Appeal to authority as well in there. Having, you know, Joe Rogan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, migraine is fucking up words here. Bring on somebody with doctor in their title to supposedly talk about this, like, makes it seem credible. All right, which is the point there. Like, that's one of the ways to get people kind of brought in to believe this stuff, right? Is to make it sound credible somehow, but it's not.
So to look at this real quick, this is the New York Times upcoming interactive map. So we had, as of the 9th, today, the estimated deaths based on reporting is 1,559 people died today from COVID-19. That is an increase of 16% in a 14-day change. Cases are up 215%, most likely because of people going to holiday parties and shit. And the death total right now is 836,236. That is why we believe the narrative, because there's almost 1 million people missing from this country right now. People that were either bilked by Trump's nonsense, or people that were too old or too infirmed or too immunocompromised, or just had bad luck.
Or just regular people that happened to get the virus, yeah.
Yeah.
That too.
Because they were given bad information and lockdown procedures weren't put in place or made strong enough. Again, I assert, if you would have locked down the country for 6 months, made it so groceries were delivered and the country subsidized it, you also made it so that every human on the planet in the country was given $2,000 a month for the next 6 months. No one had to necessarily go to work. Small businesses would be subsidized by the government. You could have locked down everything and prevented the spread and slowed it so much. What they did do was give out a one-time check, and lockdown procedures were left up to the states, which is always a bad idea because many states are idiots. The point with this is that this is cope. This is the right trying to find any way possible to justify why people believe these things, because they can't go with the idea that this is factual, truthful reality. They have to go with the idea that we're somehow bilked, we're sheep. You want to see what happens to the people that think that? Go to r/Herman Cain Award. There's a new post every 20 minutes looking at another person and watching their Facebook of either asking for amens for dumb shit, saying transphobic things, or saying bullshit stuff about like essential oils, and then they end up dying. Usually on a ventilator from a disease that could have been stopped. A disease that could have been held in its place or at least slowed immensely. Yeah, r/nursing is very enlightening too. Yeah, if you won't get vaccinated, I think you should be kicked out of any health profession. That includes my own as well. If you won't get vaccinated, you do not deserve to be a counselor. I don't care if you're working at home or not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want these people out of my profession. I want shitty people out of my profession. I don't want anti-vaxxers. The place I used to work, which I will never say the name of because I don't want to create hate comments, but the place I used to work at before I moved to where I am now, the reason I left there was because of COVID. My boss wanted to try to reopen in any way possible, wearing masks, like the fisherman mask, things like that, because
this was right at the beginning of the pandemic.
This was June 2020.
Yeah.
I tried to argue that this was ramping up and that this wasn't going to go away, and I was shot down by every therapist there who, rather than listening to empirical evidence, decided they were mad because I was getting angry, and they decided it was really cool to tone police a trans woman who was stating factual things. And so I just left. I didn't respond to any more emails. I didn't come to any more meetings. And I took my entire caseload of over 32 people with me. Why? Because I wasn't going to leave those people to that place. Sorry. The point being is, anti-vaxxers, conservatives, and other individuals who are by definition idiotic do not deserve or have the ability to make decisions on these things. They can try to cope all they want, but we need to do very real lockdown procedures. Biden needs to get off his ass and have a spine and actually do something about this besides just asking people to get vaccinated. The people that are who are going to get vaccinated either are or will, but there is a very large concurrent of people that will not. And if they will not, they need to have some kind of societal punishment to them. Unless that person has very real reasons. Let's be clear. Immunocompromised people, people who can't get the vaccine, no harm, no foul. But if you're just some kind of right-leaning idiot that just refuses, nope. This is not okay. And this nonsense about mass formation hypothesis is just lies. And the fact that Joe Rogan keeps sharing this stuff just proves that Joe Rogan doesn't need to be on the air anymore. Yeah, I said it. I would like Joe Rogan deplatformed. He does demonstrable harm. He adds nothing to the discourse. He is an idiot followed by idiotic people.
Well, and clearly in disinformation, right? That is going to harm people.
Oh, it's Lady Boss. Hi, lady. Hi, boss.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, it's one of my friends on Twitter. I like her a lot. She's nice.
It's cool.
What? Sorry, I got excited.
You're cute.
Anyway, we should end this segment. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, consider donating to us. You can support us on our website, transgirltherapist.org. You can also help us on our Patreon, link below, or you can become a member here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching.